Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Saturday. It's very rainy here in Maryland, so we are in for the evening. I'd like to welcome you guys to video 2 of my free video training around peace. Tonight, I want to talk about the power of your choice. If you've already seen video 1, I share about my why I started this journey and why I developed this passion and this burning desire to share with people about peace and the importance of maintaining and creating a space within and around you that you can maintain your peace no matter what's going on in your external circumstances. So tonight I want to talk about something that was so valuable to me once I really caught on to it, and it's the power of your choice. So the one thing that I realized on my own personal journey to creating and maintaining more peace in my life was that at any moment along this journey, I can decide what I would feel, what I would think about, what I would allow in, and what I would allow myself to say. And for a long time, I didn't believe I had that permission to do that. So let me just share a little bit more of the backstory on that. I grew up where, I'm sure many of you have heard this also, children are seen and not heard. Like their opinion and their identity as a human being, because they are, was not as valuable as an adult. And I don't believe any adult meant to dehumanize a child, but that was just their way of, creating some sense of order and some sense of hierarchy in the house when it comes to discipline. But for certain children, and I was one of them, I was very sensitive to that, and that impacted me a great deal. I took on the mindset that my voice, my words don't matter. And I kept everything to myself. And I did not share how I really felt. I did not object when things were done to me or around me that were no longer serving me, that were not healthy for me. Hey, Shan, that were not healthy for me. I chose to keep it to myself because I believe the value system of another person outside of me. And as a child, that's kind of how you think. These are our parents. They're there to teach us the things that we don't know. So if they say this, it must be true. And through developing and growing up, becoming an adult, dealing with other, relationships, male-female relationships, work relationships, I carried that same mindset that what I felt, what I had to say was not worthy of me speaking out or me standing strong and confident in it. So I had a lot of limiting beliefs that I had to erase, that I had to undo, that I had to replace. And when I finally recognized that I have the power to choose what I experience, I have the power to choose how I respond to someone's words. I have the power to choose what relationships, what environments I want myself to be in. And it has no one outside of me has the power to make that decision for me unless I allow them to. So tonight, I want to share with you guys the major step that I took in order to exercise my power of choice. And the one thing that I did was begin to shift my perspective and my perception about myself, about people, about my relationship to people, and my relationship with myself. And that took a lot of intentional work. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not something that you can just speak on or speak against or speak for one time and think that it's all going to change and everything's going to be great. And you're going to operate in that power and that empowerment and that authority just like that. It takes daily intentional actions. You have to actually work at this, especially if you've lived years and decades with a certain mindset. It's going to take a lot to turn that ship around to go in another direction to something that is actually healthy for you and is actually serving you. So your peace is a choice, and you have the power to choose that. You have the power to choose peace over chaos, moment by moment by moment. And it has nothing to do with anyone outside of you. Your entire atmosphere, your entire environment can look chaotic and crazy and completely out of control. And you can still stand there and have peace. And I'm going to share with you why. All right, so the first thing I had to do was shift my perspective. So I'm going to give you a definition here, a few definitions. So the word shift, you hear me say shift a lot. Shift means to put something aside and replace it by another. Put something aside and replace it with something else. So when you're shifting your mindset and your ways of being and your ways of thinking, you're laying aside your previous ways of being and thinking, and you're replacing it with something else. Now, the objective is to replace it with something that's serving you, not something that is worse than what you had before. So the definition of perspective. Now, perspective is the state of one's ideas, the facts known to you in having a meaningful interrelationship, a mental view or prospect. So your perspective is where you sit with certain ideas and certain things that are happening. This is how I see this thing, right? Perception is, let me see, perception is what you receive from your thinking, what you believe about life. So perspective is how you see things in your life, how you see things around you, and perception is what you're getting from what you're seeing. So let me use an example. I'll use myself. Let's say you grew up in an environment where the opinions of females, the opinions of women were seen as something that was secondary. It wasn't something that was actually held in a high position, right? So in your mind growing up, that's your perspective. Women's opinions aren't that important. You know, we can have them, but it's really not that important. So based on that perception of that situation, women's opinions aren't that important. Your perception, what you take in from that is that I'm really not that important. What I have to say is really not that important. So really, I should just keep quiet and just go with the flow and just do whatever people tell me to do, because, you know, I think that'll just be better. So what you would need to do now, being empowered with your choice that, no, I am valuable. What I have to say is important, not only because I'm a woman, because I have the Spirit of God within me. So if God is prompting me to say something, I'm going to speak. And I'm going to choose to speak when it is necessary. I'm not going to wait for someone to give me permission to speak. So that's a shift in your perspective, your perception. And that's happening within you. So if you shift your perspective in that way, and you come up against someone who has that old mindset and that old perspective, you have a choice at that moment. I can choose to go back to that chaotic way of thinking that was not serving me, or I can choose this new perspective that gives me so much inner peace because it makes me feel connected to God. What am I going to choose? And you have the power to choose whichever is in alignment with who you are. And I think a lot of times, especially women, because I'm predominantly called to assist women. A lot of times women do not feel that they have the right to take up space on this earth. You know, a lot of women, I won't say all of us are like that, but a lot of women feel that they are not worthy to take up space on this earth. So they will make themselves appear smaller in order to elevate someone else. And a lot of times it might be your spouse or your child or, you know, some other male figure in your family, or someone else at work that you have decided you're beneath or you're lower or you're less than. And I really believe that a lot of the stress, the anxiety, the depression, a lot of these mental health challenges that we as women are facing a lot more nowadays is because we refuse to use our voice. We refuse to use our choice to decide this this is not healthy for me. I'm choosing not to allow this in my life anymore. I'm choosing to say, no, that is not good enough for me. I'm choosing to say, no, I beg to differ. I believe this. And I think the more we begin to use our voice and to understand we do have that choice, a lot of the dis-ease within our body will be released, because we are expanding ourselves. We are opening ourselves up to truly be who God has called us to be. And a lot of us choose not to use the power of our choice. And it is causing a lot of havoc in our bodies, in our relationships, and in our lives. And a lot of times we may think it's the other person. You know, the other person is doing this to me, or I can't get to this level because of what they're doing or because of what they're not doing. And really, it has nothing to do with anyone else. Nothing to do with anyone else. It has everything to do with you not standing in your power, standing in your position, and making a choice, making a decision, drawing that line in the sand, as people say, and declaring, okay, from this moment forward, this is no longer acceptable. Or from this moment forward, I will only allow this, or I will only do this. And being committed to that, not because you want to appear strong in someone else's eyes, or you want to make a statement to someone else. All of this, your power to choose, the power of your choice, is all about loving yourself. Because ladies, and if there are some gentlemen who will watch this replay later, you have to know how to love yourself first before you can go out there and, be the best mom, be the best wife, be the best businesswoman, be the best friend. If you don't love yourself, and if you don't set those boundaries up around yourself to protect yourself, there is slim chance that you really have the capacity to love and to build into someone else. You have to use the power of your choice. And a lot of times, what I'm recognizing, and just from talking with clients and friends, we choose not to walk in that power because we're concerned about what the other person will feel, or how they would feel with us choosing to say no to them in order to say yes to ourselves. And I have to tell you that is a very destructive way of thinking. Because the more you put another person's opinion and another person's feeling above your own, you're allowing someone you have no power to change. You have no power to do anything in their life. You're putting their opinion above your own, which is really the only thing you have power over is yourself. So when you give someone that much power over you, and then they don't follow through, or they don't do what you're expecting them to do, you're crushed. You become smaller. Parts of you are broken and really hurt. And your initial response would be to be upset with them. Why would you do that to me? You hurt me, or you took this away from me. I trusted you. All these things that we say when we're hurt. But if we step back and look at it, we realize, you know what? I gave them the power to do that because I didn't establish my boundaries. I didn't use the power of my choice. I didn't use the power of my no to say this is not acceptable. If you can't meet this, we will have to part ways. And this goes with personal relationships, family, and work, and business. It's all across all spectrums. It's relevant. So I wanted you guys to understand that you have the power to choose what you experience in this life. You have the power to choose peace over chaos moment by moment. And what I know I needed to do, because I had some tapes playing in my head that really needed to be rewritten. So what I had to do was start affirming myself. Like, okay, I know I believed this before, but now I believe this. I know this is what I'm used to hearing, but I know this is true now. And you have to start writing that stuff out, reading that stuff every day, so that what you've been hearing for the last 30, 40, 50 years can now start to become erased and replaced with this new word, this new truth about yourself, more in alignment with what God has called you to, more in alignment with what your purpose is on this earth. But you have to do that. No one else has the power to do that. You are going to have to take the action to write affirming words to yourself, speak them over yourself, and choose to believe that they're true. No one else will convince you of that. You have to know that it's true and that you're worthy of this, and that every word that you are speaking cancels out every negative word that was spoken against you by whomever it was, because you now are choosing yourself. You're choosing to love yourself. You're choosing to get back in alignment with who God says that you are. So if you were on my email list for this free video series, you would have received a free resource. And it would have said, well, this is going to be back on Facebook, The Power of Your Choice. And there's some aha moments, take action, notes, and all that stuff. I would like you to write down what you took away from this video first on those first sheets, and then you're going to see that there are some sheets in the back for affirmations, because that's your homework assignment from this video. I want you to write some affirming statements about yourself in the area of peace and in the area of choice. Okay, so I have a few just to start you off to think about. So write these down if you have the resource that I sent you, or if you don't, write it down in your notebook. Okay, so these are some affirmations that came up as I was thinking about this Facebook Live in the area of the power of your choice and what that means and what words would really help you to spark that power that's within you to choose what you experience each day. Because you don't have to be tossed around back and forth by the situations of life. Those things are separate from life. Life is an amazing gift and a blessing each and every day. The situations that happen in life are separate. They have nothing to do with you. It's a lesson that you're learning. It's a part of your journey. It's a road that you're on, but it's not you. Just remember that. All right, so here are a few affirmations that you can use to start off with. And you can take these as they are, or you can modify them with something that really resonates with you. All right, so I have one. I choose to honor myself over the opinions of others. Another one, I am worthy of taking up space on this earth. Another one, I am worthy of being heard. Real simple. I choose to accept nothing less than God's best for my life. That's a personal one for me. I say that every day. And then a final one, my no to you is a yes to my inner peace. So those are a few affirmations for you guys. There are, I believe there are 2 sheets in the free resource that I provided for you in the email. So you just write out affirmations and write out something that really resonates with you. If this is something that you struggle with, using your voice, using the power that you have to choose how you respond to situations and to choose what you experience each day, I challenge you to do the work to shift your perspective on what you're seeing and what you're believing. Because everything that you're experiencing is a result of what you are thinking about that situation. And you have the power to change how you think. No one else has that power unless